and I'd like to welcome you to what I think is going to be a great session. This is, of course, He Said, She Said, the engagement ring shopping experience, and it's something that we did last year, and it was incredibly popular. There was so many raves about it, we decided to have it back again for a second year. I'm sure a lot of people would really like to know what brides and grooms really care about, what they care about most when they're shopping for an engagement ring. And today you're going to have a dose of reality by hearing from some real brides and grooms and their actual experiences with the process. And if you think they all care about the same thing, I think you're going to be in for a big surprise. We're very lucky to have one of the top experts in everything bridal bring this all together for you today. David Liu is the co-founder and CEO of The Knot, the premier media company devoted to weddings, pregnancy, and everything in between. Today, the Knot Wedding Network has become the nation's #1 wedding resource and the most trafficked online wedding destination, with more than 100 million monthly page views and over 1.9 million registered members. Fledgling brands The Nest and The Bump serve these couples after the honeymoon with premium multimedia content for home and pregnancy. I'm very happy to introduce to you for the second year in a row, David Liu.
Thank you. Thank you. Now, can I see a quick show of hands of how many people were at the last session? Okay. So let me apologize to y'all first, because there's a lot of slides that were duplicated, and I'm going to try to go through them very quickly, but I also don't want to short shrift some of the information that's in there for those who are coming in for the first time. But I also don't want to steal time away from our panel here, because they are really why I think this session seems to work so well. And so I'm going to go through the initial slides very quickly. If there's any questions you have, we have a booth. I have some staff here who can answer more questions, and the data that we've accumulated should be able to be sent to you if you give us some contact information. And so very quickly, The Knot is the #1 multi-platform brand for weddings. Weddings are a really big business, with jewelry representing a pretty sizable chunk of the $70 billion that's spent on weddings each year. One of the other things that I pointed out in the last session, but it's important to reinforce, is that while there is a significant number of proposals that happen during the holidays, proposals do occur all year round. And so even in the month of July, where 8% of proposals are occurring, you can't really just focus your energies on any one segment. This is not the seasonality of Christmas gifting. A general snapshot of the consumer. Today's bride, average age is 29 years old, 73% college graduates, full-time employed, relatively high household income. Granted, this is slightly skewed because this is a survey coming off of our audience, but we do represent 80% of the consumers, and I think this is actually a good framework to at least look at this consumer group. And then the proposal. This is the mysterious, perplexing kind of social event that occurs that everything revolves around. And just some information that we were able to get from our survey audience of, I think it was close to 20,000 people responded to this survey. But we'll be able to see if whether or not we are right from our panels. 57% said the proposal was just the two of them. 27% proposed at home. We're happy to see that the tradition is still alive and well. He asked 77% asked it on bended knee, with 71% asking the permission of the parents or father. 43% of grooms meticulously planned the moment down to every last detail of the proposal, and we are seeing that as a very interesting trend. And 9 out of 10 grooms proposed with the actual ring. And so I'm going to show you some information with regards to the responses that we receive from brides and from grooms, because we wanted to separate the data sets and sort of see whether or not there were consistent responses or if there's anything that was different. And so in our last session, we kind of talked a lot about the product, like what was being purchased. In this one, I think we're delve into a little bit more of how and why. And some of the more mercurial sort of influences. And so let's start with the she said. 35% said that they were not involved and were completely surprised. And fortunately, 9 out of every 10 grooms said that the bride's level they were happy with the level of the bride's involvement. Don't know what the poor 10th bridegroom thought, but either he was being bullied or he was left sort of at sea without any guidance. But one of the more important sort of data points out of this chart is that over 60% of the women who received the engagement ring last year, had some influence in the actual purchase, either hinted at or sort of, kind of indicated what they wanted, or went out shopping with their fiance outright. And so, again, we've been sort of kind of drumming, beating this drum. If you want to service this consumer, you can't ignore the woman. Way too many retailers and designers think that they run ads on SportsCenter, they're going to be able to build an engagement ring business, and we believe that the decision maker is still the woman. And she researches. She's actually educating herself on this ring purchase. 3 out of every 5 brides researches the ring before the proposal. 43% agree that they use the internet extensively to research rings prior to the engagement. And 21% visited ring retailers without their fiancé. What's interesting is if you look at that third bar on the right side, 22% of the brides who are not involved visited a retailer to research the ring. So this is a very important purchase and something that I think they want to be educated on. And then again, if you look at how they responded to these questions based on their self-described level of involvement, it was important for them to shop around the engagement ring and try and look at the different styles. And even those who were not involved, 15% did this. 22% said it was important for them to see the ring before buying. This is, again, the bride that's not involved. And then 22% who were not involved still use the internet to research. So while they're not involved and they're kind of surprised by the proposal, it's still a purchase and a product that they're still very interested in. And so some of the stuff that we hear, and this is captured from this survey, but also from our message boards, we just pulled some of these quotes because I think this is indicative of the psychographic profile of the consumer. One person said, "We ended up going shopping in person together, and I just happened to find the perfect one for me, and ended up being very firm that that's the one that was the one." I'm a bit of a control freak too. I've actually taken sole responsibility for working with a jeweler who's making my ring. Once I see the final mold and approve it, I'm going to turn things over to my boyfriend so he can surprise me as he sees fit. I'm definitely not willing to be surprised about the ring itself. My fiance and I didn't have a typical proposal. We just kind of agreed to do it. We didn't have a ring. And custom might be the way to go, the way you can incorporate what you like into your ring. And the focus for the bride, first and highest priority, according to our research, was at the style and the setting. Second was stone, cut, and shape. Third was stone quality, and with the other sort of attributes going down. Now, she definitely arms her fiance with a lot of information. Now, and this is sort of interesting, sort of he said, she said. What he said, 50% said that she would point out styles she liked while we were out or while we were shopping. 37% said that she told me outright what she wanted. And 12% she left pictures of ring styles lying around where I could find them. And 9% she actually enlisted the help of his family and friends. What she said was that 4 out of 5 dropped hints, providing certain kinds of ring information to their grooms. And even about half of the not involved group said that. Most common info somewhat involved, and the non-involved brides gave their grooms. They wanted to give them the stone shape, cut preference, metal preference, ring size, and 50% actually had a specific ring style that she wanted. And so we go to the he said side. So the guy is actively shopping. She's researching, he's actually shopping. And on average, they search for about 3 months. 16% spent 6 months or more, and the grooms with the not involved brides are likely to spend fewer months. 43% was actually just a month or less. They visit about 4 retailers. Grooms, again, with the not involved brides, where this is just solo, his own decision, was more likely to visit only 1 retailer, which is, again, interesting that, being sort of put to the decision on his own, he basically wants to find that 1 retailer and make the decision with them. And they look at about an average of 27 rings. So this is, they're looking for as much product as possible. And so what, in fact, are they worried about? They're worried about getting ripped off. That was one quote. Another quote, the fact that I knew nothing, absolutely nothing about diamonds whatsoever. The jeweler had to teach me everything while I was there. The only thing that crossed my mind was I getting the best possible deal? Another said whether it would fit. And then another one said, while she picked out the style she wanted and told me the rough size of the diamonds she wanted, she didn't pick out the final ring. I was worried that she still wouldn't like what I picked out. And then being able to afford something that my fiance deserves was another concern. And as we said in the last session, like this is a very anxious purchase. A lot is riding on this. You want it to be perfect, and it's also tied to sort of a moment where you don't know if she's going to say yes, so there's even more anxiety attached to it. So now, the actual shopping experience itself, and this is data that we've seen recurring year over year, it has improved, but it still really swings and weights heavily in favor of the guy. Overall, 59% of the grooms said that they're very comfortable with discussing shopping, evaluating the ring purchase. Only 44% of the women said that. And in fact, if you look at the experience that they had with the retailers, the majority of the grooms said they would most likely, definitely, or probably return to the retailer, whereas a significantly smaller percentage of the women were. And so, to us, this continues to echo the fact that we see that women are being ignored at the retail front because they're not considered the person who's making the purchase. Meanwhile, all the data we've been able to produce and all the information we've seen is that the woman is terribly important in this whole purchase decision, and they're just not being treated so. And that, we think, is a really big missed opportunity. And then in terms of rank importance, the groom is more interested in the stone quality, the bride's interested in the style and setting, and the price and value and stone size are more important to the groom than to the bride. And then who has the most influence on the stone? It's the stone and cut and shape is the bride. Setting metal is the bride. Stone size, it's actually seems to be the groom by a little bit. Most will purchase their stone and their setting with the same retailer. And most rings are purchased either with a local independent jeweler or with a national chain stores. The online purchasing of rings, which I know we've heard a lot about over the years with Blue Nile and things like that, has only represented about 9%, has been steady, has not been growing within our category for the last 4 or 5 years. But the consumer who is purchasing from the national retailer chains versus the independent retailer chains are very different. People who are purchasing at the chains are younger with a lower price point. So it really depends on who you're targeting, what product you're servicing, and how you want to position the service that you're offering. There's a clear difference in terms of the demographic group of people who are actually purchasing with the national chain stores versus the independent jewelers. Now, we did ask also, if you're doing so much research online, which both sides said they did, why weren't you purchasing online? And the number one reason is that people actually wanted to see the ring in person. Obviously, this is a pretty expensive and probably the most expensive jewelry purchase the couple's made. They wanted to be able to see it, and so we don't think that's going to change. That seems to be something that is going to be pretty prevalent. And then the question of degree of customization, this came up in the last session, and I hope to explore this with our panel today. Go very quickly about the metals, white gold, platinum's gone down, white gold's gone up. And then in terms of metals for the bands, we see that there's far more variety for the men. In fact, you're seeing tungsten and titanium and platinum, whereas you're seeing less of that with the brides. And when it comes to bands, wedding bands for brides, the women are very interested in diamonds, whereas for guys, it's much more about the comfort and fit that are the criteria. And then the one key sort of missed opportunity that we've sort of talked a lot about over the years is that only 48% of the brides who received an engagement ring actually was contacted or had any communication from their retailer post the proposal or even post-wedding. And there is a significant amount of jewelry needs that the couple has that's just being unserviced because the retailers are not following up and aren't capturing information and not even reaching out. And we believe that represents a really big missed opportunity, that the consumers are looking for the trusted relationship with the retailer, and this is an opportunity to build that. And so now I want to sort of bring our panels in and introduce them. I think we'll just start from on this side, and if you can just give us your name and a little bit of your background, and when you got engaged or married, and you dive into it.
Graham Halen.
Lisa Rougeau.
I'm 27, she's 25. We met through work, and I don't know, both finished college and.
Married yet, or?
We're engaged. We got engaged a month ago.
Oh, congratulations. Have you set the date?
So that's September 15th. Yeah. So.
Okay, cool. No, that's it. That's good.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm Peter Stack.
I'm Erin Romine.
We got engaged in November. We met in law school. We set a date. It's in November. And I'm 27. Erin's 29.
I'm Christine.
And my name is Paul Boy, and we met in college and were engaged last March, and then got married in end of September.
I'm 25.
And I'm 26.
Cool. Okay, so we have a bunch of topic headings that we're going to try to delve into, and I want to try to get through them, but then open it up really for questions from the audience as well. So you're a jeweler. We've seen a lot of data from the he said, she said. We talked a little bit about the experience that people had, but specifically, how many times did you visit the jeweler? How did you choose the jeweler that you eventually bought your ring from? And then, did you even consider buying the ring online? Let's start with you guys.
We did some bouncing around at retail shops to kind of get a feel and look at some different things. She had done a good amount of research online that she brought me into a little bit. And then the actual jeweler we worked with was actually through a recommendation through a colleague of Christine's, who he had worked with for his engagement and wedding bands and things. And so we met with him, excuse me, maybe once together, and then I had worked with him probably over several visits, at least 4 or 5 before actually having a ring in hand that I would be taking home to propose with.
And then, did you consider buying anything online? Was that ever even part of that?
In terms of online, I think one of our priorities was that the diamond was conflict-free, and we knew that some of the websites, that was their thing. They advertised that. So I showed him a couple websites that I'd found that had conflict-free diamonds, but eventually that's what we ended up getting anyway.
And to your point, I definitely wanted to see it and hold it before purchasing.
We visited quite a few retailers in Jewelers Row over a couple months, and Erin was very well versed in diamond terminology and statistics. So
You visited them together?
yeah, we visited them together, and she had very specific kind of shape that she wanted, and the more we visited, the more we realized how much of a diamond in the rough it was, I guess, not to be cliche. But I ended up going with, I wouldn't even consider it like an online vendor, but it's a vendor in New York who I worked with over the internet, over email for about 3 or 4 months. And they were great. They sent me every kind of light analysis and statistics that they could do. They sent me HD videos of the ring, HD videos of the ring compared to, or of the diamond compared to 5 or 6 different stones. So it was a pretty substantial process, and I thought it was great. It was kind of a necessity just based on all the visits we had to retailers. We had a real difficult time trying to find a retailer who could actually carry the kind of diamonds we wanted in stock.
Oh,
So,
interesting.
it was a cushion, but it was like a modified brilliant cushion instead of like the, whatever they call them now, the cushions that kind of look like crushed ice. So.
Interesting.
Ours was fairly different. We went to, Lisa had shown me some stuff she didn't like here and there, and I guess and I happen to know that one of the first times she met some of my best friends, she noticed that she loved my friend's engagement ring. So I pretty much went that style. We went to Jared's once to just to look at what was there.
And to try on sides.
Yeah,
and
try on
diamonds
some,
and all
just
that.
try on some stuff. We did not love that experience at all. So then, actually, I went to a jeweler that my dad's been using for 20 plus years, and pretty much did it that day.
That's
So
interesting.
I went there, met him. I spent about 3 hours with him, and he went through stone by stone, and I mean, it was awesome. He was so great. It was
Wow.
definitely the best experience.
What
Just-
style points did you love and why?
The style points of the ring.
The ring, her friend's ring that she loved.
Oh, she liked that it was 3 stone, and that it was sort of deeper set. We manage restaurants, and so when you're pulling plates and you're washing anything cooking, you know, you can't, if you've got a ring sticking, I mean, it's like, things gonna start knocking things over. I mean, it's not that big, but if it's sticking out, you know, I mean, you never know, so that was important for us. It was subtle, I mean, it was nice, but subtle.
It's interesting. You had two couples actually choosing the jeweler because of a referral, which only further enforces how, you know, a satisfied customer begets more business from that as well.
I think, the woman we met with sort of came right at us out of the gate. It's like they sort of all waited, and just as soon as we walked in, it was like, what are we shopping for? What do we need? And I just sort of felt like with that type of purchase, it is a very individualized thing. It's very personal. It's more money than I've ever spent. You know, and I don't want to be told what I want, to be honest. Especially in this particular area, I don't want to be told what I want. You know, so what I liked about the jeweler was, we looked at every ring and he's like, there's flaws here, there's imperfections here, this isn't the greatest diamond. You know, is it worth $200 more for this? Probably not. Is it worth $300 more for this one? Probably. But it was very much like in my court, and so I guess with Jared, it seemed like every ring was great, so take one.
So, what was the biggest anxiety or fear in this process?
My biggest anxiety was, I mean, I didn't actually get to see the diamond until I bought the whole thing. So
Wow.
that was obviously kind of an anxiety or fear. I felt confident knowing that, you know, I had a lot of resources that told me, okay, I have a pretty good idea what it's going to look like in person. But the fact that I didn't see it in person, it was still kind of like in the back of my head, like,
Right.
what if it shows up and it's purple?
But how did you find this guy in New York?
I think we found him on, we did a lot of research on price scope, and then it's just kind of like known as like an expert on cushions. So.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Biggest anxiety or fear?
Mine biggest anxiety was definitely that there was something about it that you wouldn't like, or certainly the whole thing, I guess, would be a bigger anxiety, but that there was something that wasn't going to be up to snuff, wasn't going to meet her standards.
And then it sounds like everyone was involved in the research process, but you know, where would you, the 6 of you, where would you say you got most of your education or information around this whole purchase? Was it with a jeweler? Was it online? Was it in books or?
A combination of online and with the jeweler, because he came on referral and we did have a very personal experience with him. He was like kind of our educator on diamonds and was really great throughout the whole thing, but online too.
Where online?
Kind of probably did a Google search and used a couple different like jewelry consultants or diamond consultants and looked at the information, the general information about diamonds.
I think for us, we got most of our research online. As Peter mentioned before, we found the vendor we went with through PriceScope, which I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard of. It's just a huge jewelry and diamond internet forum. And I probably trolled on there for like 8 hours a day for like 3 months. But yeah, and I think we also learned some things from the vendors that we met locally, and then we took the questions that we had that, you know, we felt maybe they didn't answer fully, and then would ask those questions online or research those questions online too.
I researched Blue Nile, just at least to learn about. I don't know anything about it. I didn't know anything. So, and then the combination of the jeweler. I mean, it doesn't tell you a lot about what's maybe the most important characteristic of a diamond, or you know, what are the implications are. You know, if the thing's not cut right, then what's the what does that mean? So that's where I got from the jeweler. I got him to sort of focus in on saying, you know, most light's reflected when this is right.
Interesting. So onto the ring. What metal did you all choose and why?
We went with white gold. Well, I guess I went with primarily due to preference and price. Initially, platinum was the preferred metal, but based on price and then kind of further research, went with white gold.
We went with platinum. I don't know if there was like a solid reason other than personal preference, and I know that the idea that you had to recoat white gold every once in a while when color started to fade, I guess, wasn't a big selling point.
We did platinum as well, and again, we're in environments where we're using our hands a lot, you know, with plates and that kind of thing, so it's durability. As far as that may not even be the case, as far as I was told and researched. I know.
Now, is any part of the ring custom? And if so, what and how and why?
I mean, I don't know what you can define custom. Erin's ring, she has really small fingers, and she wanted like a really dainty band, so I had to tell them to ask them to make the band thinner than they normally would. I guess we call that customization. That'd be customization, but.
And our ring is all, or my ring, I guess, is all custom. Graham designed it all with the help of the jeweler. Yeah.
Wow. That's cool.
Are you happy with how the platinum is going?
Well, it's only been a month.
But I mean, yeah.
I'm happy.
I'm constantly, my hands are in bleach or, you know, in hot water or cold water, like doing things where it's getting banged around. And for a month, I mean, I have only a couple scratches. I don't know how other jewelry wears, but I'm happy with it so far.
Yeah, for bleach, but you only can do that. Like, good choice.
And you guys?
My entire ring is custom. After looking, had a couple different ideas and drew a picture for him and told him everything that I wanted, and then he eventually went to the jeweler and custom made it and made the final decisions.
Did you guys have a budget, and did you guys stick with it?
Yes and no. Yeah, I mean, I had a budget. I went over the budget, but I didn't go over by a significant amount. It was more like, you know, what value we're getting for going over the X amount. So, it's a tough choice. Made.
How about you guys?
Was working with a budget, mostly stuck to it, and then I guess went over a little bit in getting a actual diamond that I thought that she would like more than initially what I was working with. I would note that initially the ring that the jeweler had put together was not one that was further out of my price point, and was one that I was quite a bit more uncomfortable with, and so was able to work with him and back off of that and get something that I was more happy with and that I think that she was going to be more happy with.
I had a budget, and it actually worked out. The stones we looked at, none of them had prices, and so when I eventually found one that I wanted, it was actually like almost within like $10 of my budget. It was ridiculous.
Wow.
It was just fortunate, so it worked out.
And then from the beginning of the process to the actual receiving the ring, how long did that take?
I mean, if you define beginning of the process, like the first visit we took?
Yeah, first visit.
6 months, I'd say.
5 weeks.
A year and 2 months.
And then, how did you guys? Did you guys just know her ring size? And since neither, oh really? How did you guys find the ring size or discover it?
We were on vacation before, and I was looking at buying a ring, just like a normal silver ring, on vacation, and happened to mention my ring size, and he remembered it. So it worked out well.
It's good being attentive.
The jeweler was shocked.
I mean, I had a pretty good idea what her ring size was. And then the first visit we went to, we just kind of measured her ring just for posterity's sake. I don't know. But actually, when we got the ring, it ended up being slightly too big. So we found out that the ring size that she got measured for in a couple stores was wrong. And we
Wow.
had to get it, we got it resized, but it was funny because we got it measured literally 3 or 4 different retailers all came up with like 4 3/4, and then she got the ring 4 3/4, and I'm like, actually you're 4 now. So
Wow. I mean,
When we had initially gone out, she had had her ring size measured. I either lost the notes or lost the memory of what it was in those 14 minutes. And so the ring I got, I don't remember how the jeweler and I landed on a size. I think he was just like, oh, we're doing such and such. And I was like, yeah, that sounds good. And then it turned out to be far too large. And we've actually had it resized twice since then. But it fits really nicely now.
But similarly to them, we went to a couple of retailers and just got sized because I didn't know my size, and it ended up that size was too big based on where we got it made on the jeweler too. So.
So, when you, with the ring, how would you describe your experience with the retailer that you work with? You know, was it a positive one? Would you go back?
Yes.
Generally, yes. There were some things, some not inconsistencies, kind of not the follow through that I would have expected in the individual attention, and sort of ambiguity of, oh, it'll be done blank. And it's like, okay, so are you talking like end of the week, beginning of the week, you know, kind of have some time things to keep in mind here. And so some ambiguity and some not firm follow through on his part, not great communication. Not that I wouldn't work with him again, we worked with him for both of our wedding bands still, but wasn't like perfect.
And you guys?
I really like the guy that I worked with. I would work with him in a second if he weren't in New York. So literally, the sheer fact that we live in Chicago, they're in New York. Everything about the service is great. Everything, recommend this person to everybody. But certain things like our bands that we got here in Chicago because we could see those here. So that was kind of like the confounding factor. But besides that, the guy, he was good, he was responsive. Did a good job of cutting up, like the way that I did my process is, he'd say, okay, here's 30 stones that are within what you're looking for. Here's the ones that I would recommend, yada, yada, yada. And then if he actually saw the stones and this isn't up to par, he would just not even bother. Like, just, look, trust me, you're not gonna want this thing. Let's move on to something that's gonna be more what you're looking for. So that was great. But the fact that he's in New York means that, sorry.
You really couldn't find someone in Chicago?
We thought
I
that,
think the thing is, we talked to several people in Chicago who told us that they told us there aren't a large amount of cushion brilliance out there. Peter was wrong before when he said cushion modified brilliant. We've had a cushion brilliant. Because I guess in Chicago we were told most of the cushions here are cushion modified brilliance, and so that's why we kind of gave up our search and decided to go with this other guy in New York.
we were told, literally, okay, well, we have these, but you'd have to buy it. And then we'd look at it in the store to see what it looks like. And then if you don't like it, we'll switch it out. That wasn't exactly the ideal shopping process that I was looking for. So.
Interesting. How about you guys? So yeah.
Yes.
Were you happy?
I got lost in the road. The service was great. It's been sort of a family for a long time. He followed up. We just met with him this morning, and he cleaned a ring. I mean, we're getting the wedding bands through him as well. I'll probably get her things in 10 years from him as well.
It's only been a month. Give him a break.
I was trying to surprise him.
Now, did you spend more time on the stone or the settings, just in general? Because it sounds like there are different challenges for each of you.
In terms of preference or?
Or in the time, like the time you spent with the jeweler, was it more picking out the stone or the stone?
Yeah, that was the one that took longer. If he didn't have something in stock, would take time to get some things, and then I'd go down a few days later or whatever.
Interesting. Okay. Okay. Other jewelry. So we only have one married couple here, right? Okay. So, oh yeah. Okay.
If you had custom
get them the way you wanted them to be? Did you see waxes first, or or how did you pick your custom mounting?
We got wax molds. I had a wax mold made, and it was, I mean, it was the first time it worked out. I don't know if that helps.
Ours was just, I saw it on the computer beforehand, a sort of drawn up image of it. But I kind of, throughout the entire process, had been reassured kind of, you know, you're not paying for anything yet, we're gonna make it, if you don't like it, we're scratching it, and we'll start from scratch for you, so that's comforting.
Yeah, I saw a mock-up beforehand, and then that was about the extent of it. I think from the time the stone got to the vendor who's doing the setting until it was finished was like 6 weeks, something like that. I might be up on that this way.
So on the custom bands, you had no financial commitment prior to it was all no charge until you put the ring on? There wasn't like a design fee or anything to that effect?
No.
Not for the band, no.
Yeah, nothing.
I have another question.
Mhm.
This couple over here, if you would have had to put a deposit on that custom band to assure that you would do it, would that have bothered you?
Definitely. I would have had a lot more hesitation to go ahead with it, unless it was like some sort of refundable deposit, which doesn't sound like what you're getting at. So I would have been hesitant. Yeah.
Were any of you offered any warranties, and if so, was that important to you?
Question was, any warranties, and if so, is that important?
We were kind of a lifetime, if you ever have any problem, come back, and we'll take care of you.
And if,
Was
not
it-
that I would wanna sell it, but if we wanted to sell it, he said he would buy it back at the price that he sold it to us at.
Was all that in writing?
Great question. I'm not sure. However, the reason why I'm okay saying like I'm not sure is that in working with him, and especially with the wedding bands and things, kind of doing some things for free, I have no reason after multiple meetings and throughout the whole process to doubt that he would kind of go back on actually helping us out if we went back.
Her band has a warranty on it because it's a different vendor, and that's in writing. And then the stone had kind of like a limited window of like returning it, and then they sent us a third-party appraisal with it, which I actually really appreciated because A, for insurance purposes, and then B, it was kind of like a good recital of exactly what we got, aside from the GIA cert. So.
We actually got a third-party appraisal. He sent it to us, which I thought was pretty good.
Any warranty?
And the warranty, it's similar to the couple on the end. I have no reason to doubt, that would live up to, in my experience dealings with him, to doubt that he basically said, come back anytime, we'll clean it, fix it. If it's something under it, I'll take it out, I'll reset it, so on and so forth. So.
Did you guys buy insurance for the ring, or did you guys have riders already in advance, or do you guys have insurance on the ring?
We got a rider on our renter's insurance. We actually got renter's insurance, and then we got a rider on our renter's insurance to cover the ring.
I initially snuck it, well not snuck, she knew about it, it under her renter's insurance because I didn't have it at the time, and then we added it to ours at our new place.
Now, are any of you planning on buying jewelry for the wedding day itself? And would you be going back to that jeweler for that? Bridesmaids gifts, groomsmen's gifts?
Yeah, I got some earrings and a bracelet, but I didn't go to the same jeweler that did my engagement ring. I'm wearing antique jewelry that was passed down, so I'm not getting anything for my wedding day from there.
You guys?
I wore the earrings that my mom and my grandma wore, and my grandmother's jewelry for the day.
Bridesmaids?
Bridesmaids
I
gifts?
wouldn't spend, she's my best friend, but I wouldn't spend that much money on her. Same here. I wouldn't.
Spending a lot of money on the wedding.
Exactly, yeah.
I have no idea, but I just, I don't know. I just have a certain price point that I would want to stay in, and I know she would be totally understanding of
if I got her something really nice, or if I literally got her something from the dollar store. I think the sentiment of her being my maid of honor means more than anything I could probably buy her, so.
If you don't mind us asking, what kind of price point are you gonna put in the maid of honor? And what kind of price point do you put on the bridesmaids?
We usually don't have any.
We're only doing a maid of honor and a
Yeah.
best man. So I would probably spend, I don't know, like $200, but get her something that was more meaningful. I don't really have any idea of what, but something, I don't know.
You'll get a room full of suggestions.
There we go.
I had 8 bridesmaids, so my price point was $20.
Yeah, I have 5 bridesmaids, including my matron of honor. I'll probably spend about, I don't know, maybe a little over 100 for the matron of honor, maybe between 50 and 60 for the other bridesmaids, not including the fact that I'll also pay for hair or makeup for them, which is like, I don't know, $80 in addition to the gift.
Right. Our research was showing about the national average about being $79 per bridesmaids is what was being spent. So it seems to be in the range.
I really wanted to come back to the question about warranties. We, in the jewelry side, think it's a big deal to you, you know, on the warranty side of it. I just wondered when you were making your purchase, you know, was that a big deal to you? Did anybody bring that up? Was it something you really focused on, or was it really that deep of a concern at that moment?
I will say it was a big deal to me, but we're lawyers, so things like that are a bigger deal to us than the general public. But I mean, it was a big deal to me just because the amount of money that you're spending. I wanted some kind of comfort coming from the other side that I wasn't getting hosed.
I will say, with warranties, I feel like I've never been able to rely on any warranty for anything, so it wasn't a big deal.
There's a part of me that starts to worry that when you get a warranty that there's reason to worry about it breaking or something being wrong with it, which if I buy a computer, maybe I have a more keen eye toward the warranty than a ring that I assume is going to be in pretty good shape for quite a while.
When you talk about if there's something under like a warranty, like do you think that if like what degree do you feel like a warranty would cover? Like if you wear the ring and you bang and you break it, like so what's our liability of a warranty? It's really okay. This ring shouldn't just a prong shouldn't just fall off but if you wear it, you're doing something, you're aggressive with the ring, you break the ring. Do you feel like that's something that should be covered by the jeweler, or that it should be under warranty? Like, you know what I mean? Like what would a warranty be if you were to get a warranty? What is it? Not cleaning a ring, or what? Because you're going to wear it, you're going to bend it. Platinum's going to bend. You know, it's more malleable. There's all kinds of things, and I always wondered. We've struggled through warranties on what exactly, and that's why a lot of the chain stores you pay for a warranty because they're gonna. I mean, it seems to me that they go a little bit further with doing things because you're paying whatever for a warranty. But if we're gonna do a warranty for jewelry for no charge, or not a charge, but you know there's a warranty on it. What's your realistic expectations on what this thing's gonna look like in 5 years if you have a lifetime warranty, or 10 years when you have a lifetime warranty?
I'll say from the perspective of the band, really the only thing I was expecting out of the warranty is if for some reason one of the stones falls out, they'll replace it without much question or much hassle. As far as everything else, I guess, you know, if I was going to conceptualize it, I'd say anything that I would be concerned that my insurance company wouldn't cover, I would want to make sure I could go to the jeweler to get that covered. So a warranty, not in the sense of if something goes wrong, the jeweler's going to be the first person I contact, but if something goes wrong and my insurance agent tells me, well, you know, this was something that, you know, didn't show up in your appraisal, or that was flawed because of something that the jeweler did, that I'd have some sort of remuneration against the jeweler. So it's not like I'm looking at something and saying, well, for the rest of the existence of this ring, I'll never have to worry because I'll always go back to the jeweler anytime something happens. But if there is a flaw that is inherently caused by the jeweler, or that perhaps was I mean, the nature of warranties, like you're warranting to me that this product is exactly what you said it was. And if I find out in the future it wasn't, then I should be able to go to the jeweler for compensation.
So you're not warranting wear and tear, you're warranting the actual diamonds themselves?
Wear and tear for the band, if only because they said specifically, like, you know, these stones will fall out, they're good for however long. If they do fall out, we'll replace them. So that, in that sense, yeah. But for the jeweler themselves, no, I wouldn't be saying just regular wear and tear. And 5 years from now, that I expect it to be exactly identical to this today, without us having some kind of maintenance.
Is that like more like a guarantee that you're buying what you're buying?
I mean, you can a guarantee or warranty, and as long as again that everything that you're warranting to me is true, that's fine.
When you mentioned going to Jared, what consideration, if any, did any of you consider about going to multiple chain operations in the process?
As far as, going to Jared, it was more of, I was going there as a learning experience. There was a couple things that I saw that there were some, I considered going with. But in terms of going to multiple locations, I wasn't interested in going to multiple because I kind of knew I was going to go with my dad's jeweler. So like I wanted to go and learn and see what was out there. And if in talking to the jeweler, I'm like, well, Jared's was actually X, Y, and Z. Maybe, at least to have something to compare to. So, yeah.
Do you feel that you were adequately instructed on how to properly take care of your piece of jewelry, cleaning, care, feeding, and specifically were the women instructed separately?
I had no idea how to take care of a ring. So, when I bought it, there's quote unquote research you can find out there. And I actually, my vendor was great because when there was a question of how to take care of the ring, I just asked them and they said, okay, here's X, Y, and Z. But I actually had to ask them. I mean, I don't know, you could probably answer the second part of that, about how much you know about it.
Well, I didn't know how to clean it, so I asked Peter. He contacted the vendor, and they told him how.
Since I didn't go to the jeweler with him to pick it out or design any of it, when we went today to pick out the bands, I actually asked him how to clean it, because I had no idea. So.
I found it on Real Simple, like a natural way to clean it. I was never instructed specifically. I guess I didn't think much about it. I don't have a lot of jewelry, and so I just figured it would, I didn't think it needed to be cleaned, but it does.
I'm curious to know how many of you, it sounds like, Graham, you had a really amazing experience in a brick and mortar store. I'd love to know, and you've only been engaged a month, but how many times you've told people, this is where I got my ring, either one of you, and also, all the couples, but I'd really like to know, how many times do people ask you, where did you get your ring, or where did you get your diamond, and how many times have you literally said, at XYZ jeweler?
I said it countless times, because that's the first thing, when you say you're engaged, the first thing people look at is your ring. Where'd you get it, was what most people ask. So I said it numerous times.
Yeah, a friend of mine's about to get engaged and he's going to him. If people ask, he's definitely the first. He's the first. I definitely recommend him. I've got like 5 of his business cards. Yeah.
No one's ever actually asked me in real life where I got the ring, but I go to like the knot forums and other like wedding website forums and post pictures of your ring, and I've told probably well over 20 people online, oh, my fiance got it, at this place.
And I'd say I probably told 4 or 5 guys. Mostly, I tell them, I kind of run down why I chose the vendor that I did, and why, unless you kind of were looking for something in particular like that, you might be better off going to like a brick and mortar store here in Chicago. So I throw in that caveat, but I say the people I work with are phenomenal.
I've probably said, like, I've got a guy, like, I know this great jeweler. I don't know how many times I've said the name. Yeah.
I don't know that I've ever told anyone his name, but I regularly tell them that, oh, this jeweler that we were connected through a colleague of Christine's.
But do you say the name of the jeweler? You said you don't say the name of the jeweler.
No.
I think I've said it a couple times.
If I have a friend that's looking for someone and looking to buy a ring, I will happily give them the name and info.
Did you get your wedding bands from the same place, did you say? And did they contact you, or did you just go back to them?
We went back to them. My wedding band is actually the band of his great-grandmother's engagement ring, and they took the setting out and made it smaller and put it together for free for us. And then we got his wedding band through them.
Did you guys tweet your proposal or Facebook update?
That was a Facebook update. There was no Twitter feed.
But you announced your kind of engagement on Facebook?
We don't have those things.
Wow.
So, no.
I have both of those things, but I just felt very strongly that I didn't, if you didn't know about it, then I don't want you to know about it, or you know. So I announced that we were married, but I never put that I was engaged on Facebook.
For the guys, what kind of wedding bands are you getting? What metal? Why?
I bought my band already, and it's a palladium band, and it's because it was light, it was durable, it was really smooth when I tried it on. Like exactly what he said, style and comfort, that's the only thing I cared about. And I bought my band because I have a buddy of mine who we went to dinner with, and I saw his band, and I said, I want your band. So he just, literally, that's it.
I asked around to look at guys I knew's rings, and definitely liked the look of them. But at the end of the day, I think just about none of them have a yellow gold band, and that's what I went with. Just liked the look, liked that it was a little bit more distinct from a lot of the friends of ours, and it was matching to her wedding band as well.
We just began picking them up this morning, but I would love to talk about the palladium. I don't know anything about that. It sounds great. But I mean, I've thought about titanium or platinum.
It kind of came down to budget.
Yeah. So we're not super sure yet, to be honest. We just started that this morning.
So I know two of you have platinum engagement rings and you have a white gold engagement ring. So it wasn't important for you to ensure that your groom's ring matched your ring?
I actually kind of wanted him to get a platinum band, but he really wanted the palladium, and it's his ring, so that was fine with me.
Yeah, I really wanted ours to match, but I wanted our wedding bands to match. So.
I guess it's something I never really considered, because I don't know, it just wasn't really something that was really important, I guess, to us.
Any other questions?
Yeah, you guys mentioned specifically third-party appraisal. Did you care that it was a third party, or would it have been fine had the jeweler done the appraisal in-house?
I would have really cared if it was not a third party. Not that I would assume that a jeweler would do something shady, but it's just, if it's not going to be a big hassle, the amount of comfort it gives me knowing that this person was likely removed from the process is invaluable.
Yeah, I agree.
How did you know that this was a removed third party rather than here's a third party appraisal?
Mine came with a recital saying who this person was, their qualifications. I looked them up. Did I meet them? No. But there's enough in the recitals to tell me that this person has a lot more to go for the reputation's sake than to, have a jeweler they work with to inflate appraisals. And our appraisal came in higher than what we spent. So my impression, well, I guess you wanted to go higher, but for insurance purposes, it would be nice if it came in lower.
See, I saw the appraisal and everything, and I questioned whether the guy who did the appraisal is actually removed from the vendor. And not that the jeweler was shady or said anything suspicious, but there wasn't anything that independently said this is a third-party appraiser. So I kind of have a different opinion about that.
So just two things on that same note. Did you buy a certified diamond? And then also, if you felt comfortable
You mean certified, like GIA certified?
Correct.
Yeah, it's certified. And I mean, it's just, I guess, you're always incentivized if you're giving an appraisal of something that you sold to, even if you have all of the mechanisms of the entire world to say, okay, I'm objective, there's always that air of subjectivity. And I guess if you can remove that, all the better.
I think we have time for one more question.
I would be curious to know, what was your main driving force in actually purchasing? Was it more or less good customer service that you really vibed well with, or was it more they had the product that you wanted?
I wasn't in love with the customer service, as I think I mentioned earlier, and but they had the product I wanted and a price that was in line with what I was looking at, or what I was interested in. So.
Yeah, I think the big thing for me is, he's essentially said, I'll make your ring, and if you don't like it, we'll start over, it's fine. And so I don't put a deposit down, there's no charge, it's essentially saying, I stand by my work, and, the fact that he's willing to sit down for 3 hours in a small room with me and my dad and look at every diamond, was important to me.
I'd say it's like 80-20 product service. So certainly the overwhelming aspect of it was the product.
Excellent. One more? Okay.
How important were payment options for you, like as far as layaway or financing? Getting refinance?
I'd saved up, so that wasn't a thing. Financing wasn't an issue.
I really liked paying a reduced price for cash.
Oh yeah, that I liked.
All right, like everyone to thank our three couples for taking their time today. Thanks, you guys.